Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
WWE Network star Cory Graves.
Hello.
Is here. Is that because your role now in WWE? Cory Graves, for those that don't know, I guess everybody, the WWE has their developmental territory. Well, it's not anymore, but it's NXT, which everybody's talked about. You remember, like, a couple of months ago, I guess at this point, we did a show from Philly. It was the NXT show. Cory was an NXT wrestler on his way up to the main roster. A couple of concussions later, they let him know he was not going to be back in a wrestling ring.
And now I am the WWE's answer to Guy Fieri.
Yes, yes.
Which I proudly embrace. I embrace this role. I have slightly better hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you're going to have to get a lot fatter, too.
True.
Yeah.
I plan on it, though. There's time.
Have people called you that?
I don't think so. I kind of tried to call myself that for whatever reason.
You're taking on that brand yourself.
Well, when I try to explain what I do to people who aren't familiar with WWE or the network, everyone knows that guy. And
So-
I just basically say I'm slightly less hateable, I think, than him.
I would hope so. I mean, I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, but he gets to eat a
sucks.
lot of great food. I have a show on the network,
Right,
And
well-
he's got shows on different networks.
I
and
get. Yeah, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself and just say I'm a host.
I'm not. I am.
You're a personality.
I'm a personality from the WWE network. Correct.
Right. So Cory now he hosts all the pre-shows for pay-per-views and Monday Night Raw, and your big thing is your show on the network,
That's right. My own
Culture
show,
Shock.
Culture Shock.
where you just get to go around and do whatever you want and convince somebody to send a camera with you, and then they pay for your trip.
That's essentially what it
That's
is.
the show.
I come up with ideas that I would like to check out or explore, and generally speaking, I get to do it.
I can't even believe that they let you be like a commentary guy, or like a broadcaster for WWE, because they normally, I mean, Todd Pettengill was a broadcaster for WWE. Like they have a thing where it's just fit the suit, comb your hair, look good, and let the wrestlers get the attention.
Are you implying that I don't look good in a suit, Sam?
What I'm saying is, you show up, you got all kinds of plaids and colors, and you're very outlandish with your attire, and you've got neck tattoos coming out of the collar of your shirt. Like, you're not the traditional sportscaster.
I'm breaking the mold.
Yeah.
And you can blame or give credit to my wife. She generally dresses me, so
She does?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
not physically. I mean, she picks out the clothing, and then
You just put them on?
yeah, pretty much.
Oh. I thought that you had, like, a strong fashion sense.
No, if you look, I'm wearing a white T-shirt and jeans right now because I had to
she's not-
dress myself today.
Right. She picked out one outfit, and that's for tonight.
That's right.
That's for the pre-show.
For the pre-show. I have to look good on pre-show.
So what have you, was there any fear on your end that you're like, I don't look like the traditional broadcaster before they let me in?
I was a little bit apprehensive, I guess. I didn't, because like you said, I didn't really fit the mold, but
Yeah, I mean, historically, they've been kind of big on their molds. Like, they have a thing that this is what we like and this is what we do.
but we're a progressive company.
Right.
We're stepping into the new generation, and I actually had a pretty cool support system behind me. Some people you might not expect. I mean, Michael Cole, who is traditional broadcasting
guy.
He's been behind me 100% the whole way, and so I got the opportunity, and I kind of just made the best of it.
Well, they're smart to do it. I wish SiriusXM was as progressive as WWE. I've gotten turned down for gigs here before I had this show because apparently my voice didn't sound right.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
it's
either.
You have a distinct voice. I thought that was the point for radio.
Number one, I have a distinct voice. People remember it. Number two, what about the content? Okay, the stuff that I'm saying is so important.
Gold.
Thank you. Cory Graves understands.
I get it.
That's because we're progressive people.
That's right. That's
You
why
know.
we're friends.
That's it. That's exactly right. So what have you gotten to do with
Culture Shock?
Culture Shock that you've enjoyed?
I have been doing so much cool stuff with Culture Shock. We actually have a whole bunch of episodes that are kind of being edited and put together. I was in Montana a few weeks ago for the Testicle Festival.
What is that?
It's basically a very underwhelming biker rally in the middle of Montana. I expected more. I kind of thought there was going to be like this charming small town experience where the whole town just came together to celebrate the eating of bull testicles.
Oh,
However,
I thought it was just dudes, celebrating dudes.
Yeah, no, I
Just-
mean there is
just
some
a bunch
celebration
of guys
of
like,
dudes.
yeah, we are guys.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was the case. It was just kind of I don't know, a lot of bikers and eating bull testicles.
Oh, you know what I was thinking of? Nutfest 2015.
Is that a real
Totally
thing?
totally different event.
Different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also in Montana.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not
It's the
much
week
to do
after.
there. But it was cool. I mean, the people were nice. I think we got some cool stuff. I mean, it's a short show, so it's not hard to fill the time. But I think we'll make the best of it.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I was in Baltimore, Maryland, at BronyCon.
I know what a brony is.
Do you?
Yes, it's a grown man who enjoys My Little Pony. And before I say anything bad about the Bronies, they would probably remind me that I am a grown man who goes home and watches professional wrestling.
Exactly.
So you can't. Everybody's, I guess, gonna have their hobbies. I wish I was like a manly man that just ate food, hung out in the gym, and fucked women, and that was me. And then I could make fun of all this stuff. But it can't, because it's not me. It's not what I do.
I had my preconceived notions shattered yesterday. I will say that.
Really?
I could almost consider myself a bit of an advocate for the brony scene as of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
I can't give too much away because obviously I want you to watch my show only on WWE Network. See what I did there?
That's
why they let me do media.
They're going to love it.
Yeah.
Plus, you already called them progressive. That's why Michael Cole likes you so
right.
much.
I mean, I'm a good company guy.
Yeah.
No, but I too expected this kind of perverse, weird world of grown men dressed up in pony costumes, which I was not disappointed to that point because that did happen.
Is it sexual? Like, is it like the furries?
No. See,
Have you been to a furry convention with the show?
That's my holy grail for culture shock. We requested the Anthrocon in Pittsburgh, which is my hometown. And
what is Anthrocon?
It's the biggest furry convention in the world. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, and every year for a weekend, the furries just take over the city, and I don't know anything about it other than they're adults in costumes that act like animals. It's very strange, and I'm very curious. That someday will be hopefully on Culture Shock, knock on wood. I think that the brony experience may act as kind of a breaking the barrier.
Sure.
Because I expected a weird, perverse scene. And not to say that there wasn't a few questionable characters, and I'm sure there was some really weird stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm sure friendship isn't the only thing that's magical.
Right. But all in all, if I were to have to describe BronyCon, do you remember the No Rain video by Blind Melon?
Yeah, of course, with the little girl in the bee
Bumblebee
outfit.
Yeah, the Bumblebee girl. BronyCon is the end scene of the music video where all of the bumblebees are just together and happy.
Huh. So it's a bunch of guys, and they're probably getting bullied for liking My Little Pony.
Right.
And unfairly.
Right.
And they get to come together. They all have this common interest. They all have this thing that they're all obsessed with. And everybody's just happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of, socially awkward kind of people and
Sure.
people into whatever. And again, don't get me wrong, there's some strange stuff that went down. And maybe we'll show that in the show. There's some really unique people that we met. However, like spending an entire day there, I was like really just blown away by how it was just a very accepting, very like positive place.
Do you get welcomed in when you come in with a TV camera and stuff?
I was amazed at how many bronies knew who I was.
Really? There's a crossover, the wrestling and the brony
There is a
audience.
crossover. There is a
I don't know if that's
it's not really surprising. I mean,
I
let's
guess
be honest.
not. At the end of the day, you want to be like, no. It's like, there's probably more bronies that watch than UFC fans. Like, there's probably a bigger crossover with the bronies.
Right.
Than, yeah.
So.
Wow. And so you come in with the camera. What kind of? Tell me one like weirdo that was there. You can give me a little bit.
I'm trying to think. There, like I said, there was so much going on.
What's something that might get edited out of the show? Because of course, the WWE Network it's not.
See, that's the thing. I don't know that there was anything that overtly weird that we would have to edit it out. I mean, there was a man in a dragon costume. That's what he referred to as it. And it wasn't a full head costume. It was more like a suit of armor kind of deal that sort of looked like a dragon with a big tail that hung. And I got the impression that he's worn that before without clothes. At the time, he was fully clothed, but I was like, I have a feeling that guy has definitely worn that costume before. But that said, I mean, there were some really insane costumes. Like, these people go all out, and they were really into it.
Well, I mean, it's Brony Fest,
I guess. But I can proudly say that I am an advocate for the bronies.
Did you get? Are you just a friend of the community? Or
No, I'm not. I don't consider myself a brony. There was an ending ceremony for the weekend, and they had this. And there was one of the voice actresses. She came on and she did the voice, I guess, of a little boy pony that she voices, and she kind of slipped into the voice on stage. and people lost their minds. There were grown men like ready to weep at the fact that this woman on stage was talking like whatever pony she was.
I guess that's probably like when like Mick Foley does his comedy shows and then he slips into Mankind voice. And you go, oh my God, it's Mankind.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But these were a lot of, and again, there were a lot of kids, a lot of families. It wasn't like this totally weird scene. But when you saw a lot of grown men just really emotionally touched by her doing this voice.
Like it wasn't like this is great for my kid. It was like this is great for me. I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, and that was kind of when I slipped back into reality because I was in the scene for the whole day, and I was like, you know what, man, this isn't so bad. I get this. I understand all these people.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, everyone was wrong. And then that last thing happened. I went, okay, this is still kind of weird.
That's one step,
but
one
I
step
accept
too
it.
far.
Right. I'm into whatever you need to do as a brony. I support it, but it's still not my scene.
Yeah, and so is that the gist of the show now? Or are you just now figuring, okay, I got a gold mine in all these conventions. I'm just going to start looking online for bizarre conventions and try to go to all of them.
I mean, that kind of happens. Yeah. I mean, my producers actually came up with the idea for this. They said, "Hey, would you want to go?" And I said, "Yes, of course I would." When we started the show, we never were given any real guidelines as to what it was supposed to be.
Right.
They just said, "Hey, here's your show," and
which is the best way to do it because then you get to build it, and then once it becomes a thing, it's like this is what we do now.
Right, but we're still not entirely sure what we do. We just kind of check stuff out and try to.
You're
make
not at that part yet. You're still at the I don't know. Nobody's paying attention, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
what this show's at.
All right.
Nobody's paying attention,
Right
so
on.
I do whatever I want.
Right on.
You know, that's why when your publicist reaches out to me. And says, hey, can Corey? Yeah, of course. Of course, Corey could just reach out to me himself, but I guess he's big time.
I have my own show now.
Yeah.
Guy Fieri wouldn't just call you, right?
No, he wouldn't. Guy Fieri's been informed. First of all, I call him Guy Fieri.
I don't know how to say it. You notice I've said it different ways.
He likes to do it your way.
Oh, okay.
But it's America. It's Fieri.
Okay, fair enough.
And second of all, he knows better than to call me. Like we do not have a great history, him and I. I don't know if you know about that.
No, please. Explain.
You don't know that Guy Fieri and me are enemies?
No.
Oh, I thought that's why you came in here.
No, I had no idea. This was completely coincidental.
Yeah, well, he's one of my. I have two big celebrity feuds, and he's one of them.
Really?
Yeah. When I was doing Opie's show, it was Opie and Anthony at the time. He came in to cook, and he was being, hey guys, it's Guy Fieri, yeah, rock and roll. Blah, blah, blah.
We all know you only eat Wendy's, so you were already disinterested.
That's it, because I don't care. Like unless you're gonna deep fry some chicken tenders, whatever. Let's just get the segment done. And they go, oh, Sam, do you want some of the steak that Guy Fieri's cooking? I was like, and I said at that point, I've been here for enough years that everybody knows what's going to happen right now. So I literally said, I will go eat the steak and gag on it if that's what you want me to do. And they said, yeah, that's what we want you to do. So I went and did that. I had no problem with that, of course. Be a good sport. Then, but we explained to Guy Fieri my whole story of, no, Sam only eats weird things, and he doesn't drink. Guy Fieri's like, you don't drink, so he knows. I go, no, I don't drink at all, nothing. Beverages, water, soft drinks, but alcoholic-wise, no. And so Guy Fieri, he's like, he watches me gag. Everybody has a good laugh. I'm in on the laugh. It's all good. Then Guy Fieri's like, oh, you want some water? I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, open your mouth. And he takes this bottle that he's been cooking with. And he squirts it in my mouth.
Like at a hibachi restaurant? Like that sort of squirt bottle thing?
I guess so, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. And like my mouth, I start to feel like a burning sensation. And I was like, that's not water. That would be cooking vodka.
Good.
That he sprayed in my mouth. What do you mean good?
He was just trying to expand your horizons.
But how does he know? How does he know? Maybe I don't. But maybe I have a dark history with alcohol, right? Maybe, who knows? Who knows what reason I could have? Because I didn't tell him.
I get that. I mean,
right?
that's fine. Okay.
So I started thinking about it. At first, I was like, oh, he got me. But then, sometimes my mind keeps moving and moving and moving. And I started thinking to myself, what a fucking asshole that guy is. Like, that was a dickhead move.
You thought he was out to destroy you.
Yeah, I was like...
take everything you had built.
He's going to come in my house and think that he can impress, that Opie and Anthony are going to think he's cool because he's going to humiliate me and do something that maybe I'm morally against for whatever reason. He doesn't know, me from a hole in the wall. And so I started going on the air and just really shitting on him a lot.
All right. Well, then I will stop comparing myself to him just to satiate your dislike for him.
I've made him come in here and apologize to me. He has. I have not accepted every time. Yeah, no.
This is deep.
I don't accept.
He cut
so yeah,
you deep.
yeah, he did. He did. So if you ever get the opportunity, if Guy Fieri ever goes, hey, Cory Graves, I see your show on WWE Network. You like to explore things and try new things. If you ever want to come and check out, one of my shitty restaurants with me, you should come. You will know that in that moment, you have come to a point in your life where you are going to pick either Guy Fieri or Sam Roberts.
Wow.
Okay?
An ultimatum has been thrown down.
I want you to know that that's where you'll be, and you'll have to pick one or the other.
All right. Well, I hope I don't get to that point, but in the event that I do, I will try to remember my roots. Where I came from.
Try to. So where else have you gone?
Oh,
Other
man.
than what was the convention you said before, Brony?
The Testicle Festival.
Right, the Testicle Festival. So was that strictly an eating thing?
Well, like I can't really explain it because there wasn't really much there. There was a.
So you just go based on the name.
Yeah, well,
and then you look at your producers like, sorry guys.
Well, it was kind of all of us kind of went, oh, that wasn't what we expected because it had gotten a lot of like publicity as far as Vice covered it and some decent outlets.
So you're thinking.
So we went, maybe this is legit. Maybe we'll get a inside look at this thing. And we got there, and it was about a large parking lot with a lot of bikers and campers, and everyone was really cool and nice. And the event was fun. We made a good day out of it, but it wasn't the charming experience that I had envisioned.
Yeah, I used to have to do a lot of man on the street stuff, so I go to stuff thinking, okay, I'm going to interview the people online for this. I'm going to go talk and make a good segment out of it. And sometimes you get to these things that have this sensational name, and on paper, you and your guys, you write it out, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. You get there, and you're like, there's nothing really going on here.
No, like I said, everyone was really cool. They took good care of us, and were super polite. Everyone in the state of Montana was incredible. They were very, very friendly. But sometimes that's bound to happen. We expected one thing and got a little less than that, but it was a great time. We'll make it work. And this coming Wednesday, I believe after NXT, is the Alternative Press Music Awards episode.
That's got to be cool for you.
Yeah, that was really cool for me just as a fan of music and rock and roll and being able to hang out with these guys. Got to meet Rob Zombie and a lot of places.
I was about to say, I saw the preview clip with you interviewing Rob Zombie. Anything Rob Zombie, I immediately click on.
Yeah.
Not that I don't immediately click on anything Cory Graves as well. But, yeah, anything Rob Zombie, I immediately click on. How did that go?
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
The Alternative Press people were incredible. They gave us full access to all of the bands, and anybody we wanted to talk to was really cool. Again, a lot of the bands kind of blew me away that they were familiar with who I was, and NXT especially.
Wow.
We have this NXT Loud thing that we've been doing where we're kind of checking out new bands and trying to cross promote and give some exposure to new bands. And we had Motionless in White, who was one of the bands they were the first NXT Loud band, and they were there, and they were just so stoked to be part of it. And a lot of these bands that I listen to, I have on my iPod, we're like, hey man, we watch your stuff on NXT, and everyone was really cool. And all in all, man, it was one of my favorite experiences.
I guess we don't live in the era that this would apply anymore. But do you ever get worried that people are going to think that this is like, oh, this is just one of these dumb wrestling shows. I don't know why this guy's here. Without realizing that it's not a wrestling show. And which is actually, speaking of progressive, a pretty amazing thing that you're just going on and doing a show and saying, I'm going to travel around, come into my world. Do you get worried that people have like a wrestling stigma on it before you go in?
To some extent, I do. Yeah. Like, especially there. I mean, I'm with bona fide rock stars.
Right.
And I still think of myself, I grew up as just some punk rock kid who doesn't really belong here. I should be there as a fan, and here I am backstage talking to all these people. Rob Zombie, I was actually starstruck, man, for the first time in a long time. I've got to meet a lot of cool people. You know how it is. And he came into the room, and I was like, whoa, this is really kind of crazy.
Rob Zombie's one of those guys because he's created such an image for himself that he's one of those guys that either he hits you or he doesn't, but if he hits you, he hits you. Like, I've got his name tattooed on my arm. You may or may not know that.
I did know that.
Yeah, I thought you did. And I've interviewed him probably 5 or 6 times, and every time it's like, oh my God, it's Rob Zombie Day. Today's Rob Zombie Day. You know what I mean? Like, it has never gone away.
What's the Empire Records guy? Not Rex Manning Day.
Oh, yeah, Rex Manning Day.
It's Rex Manning Day.
Yeah. But so it always goes well, though.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. I'm excited. I saw the rough cut of the episode last week before the final editing's been done. I'm really excited for everybody to see that. So,
do you ever try to sit in the editing room with them, since this is like your name's on it?
Yeah, they actually let me. I mean,
cool.
I'm in the studio every Monday because I do the Raw pre-show. So usually I'll get there a little bit early, and if they need something done, voiceover work or whatever, I'll shoot down and just check it out. And they're pretty cool about giving me, if I feel a vibe off of something that I think would look cooler or I think's more entertaining, 9 times out of 10 they'll defer to me. But luckily we're all kind of on the same page. So either myself and all of my crew are completely out of touch, or we're all kind of on point, which, I mean, it seems to be working out pretty well so far.
How often are you filming shows, generally?
Culture Shock shows?
Yeah.
Whenever something comes up. Like, we actually have, I think we have 4 or 5 different episodes that are basically in the can to air whenever. It's just a matter of what happens, because you can't really plan, because these events pop up, and I mean, there's only one weekend that there's BronyCon, so you kind of got to go.
That's the weekend.
So when it airs, I mean,
how long did you spend at BronyCon?
About 8 hours.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like you spent the whole weekend.
No,
there.
I didn't fully immerse myself in the Brony world, but I was
were there long enough for the big outro and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I got a good taste.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Did you think, like, when you gave up competing in the ring, you'd think you were going to give up road life? Like, okay, especially when they first brought you on, because they go, okay, you're going to be the host of, like, NXT stuff that we do. And at that time, NXT was WWE's brand that was based pretty much only in Florida. So there's not that much travel. Now
I travel now as much as pretty much anybody in the company.
Oh.
I mean, as far as I don't have to do as much time on the road as far as long drives, which I really appreciate. You know, it's a lot more flying, but I mean, I'm gone at least 3-4 days a week on, like, regular weeks, and then sometimes you have, you know, like, next week's going to be insane because we're in Brooklyn for SummerSlam,
right?
And it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and luckily it's all going to be in New York. But then I get home for a day here, a day there. You know, spend as much time as I can with family, and then just keep going. But
yeah, I think that's one of those things that people don't really take into account, that, like, you know, 3 or 4 times a year you have giant weekends that are really like 5 days of just event. But then it's not like after those 5 days you get to cool out for a couple weeks.
No.
Like, you just go back onto the schedule that already is completely extreme.
Right. The one thing that's really crazy about doing the Raw pre-show, that we do it at the studio. So I'll do, like, the kickoff panels for the pay-per-views or the specials, and whatever city that's in, I fly Monday morning back to New York. Now, granted, the rest of the crew has to travel to another city, but it's usually a 3-4 hour drive for them. I actually have to get up in the morning and then fly, you know, back across the country from wherever I'm at to New York to get to the studio. So that can be kind of, I don't want to complain, because it's, you know, if that's the hardest part of my job is the travel,
Right.
It's really not a bad gig. But you know, it wears on you a little bit from time to time.
Is there any way to gauge whether you're doing a good or a bad job? Like, is there any, like, for me, like, I always get worried about making sure I'm doing a good enough job that they're not going to fire me.
Right.
Does that occur to you? Especially,
yeah, I feel, though,
being out of the ring and now you're out of your comfort zone and, like, learning a new trade.
Yeah, I think as long as I still get a paycheck, I'm doing okay.
Right.
That's pretty much all I have to gauge it on. I try to ask.
So every other week you're just looking at the mailbox, like, come on.
Let's see. Oh, it came again. All right, sweet.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. No, I get a lot of internal feedback. I mean, I have, you know, 900 bosses, but they're all pretty cool and letting me know what we need to work on, what we need to fix. And it's pretty straightforward. But you know, like I said, as long as I keep getting a budget and they're keeping letting me doing these shows to do it, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So my next goal is I want to expand it a little bit. I mean, I would love to, but obviously gotta crawl before we walk.
Right. Go from however long it is now, 6 to 8 minutes, to like 15.
Right.
To 30.
Right. I don't
to
think I want
6
more.
hours.
6 hours. It's
6
just it's
hours.
actually just my day live at BronyCon.
Right. It's the whole thing.
All of it.
It's the whole thing. We were talking about NXT a couple minutes ago and how it was just kind of very small, Florida-based primarily. But we just found out this morning. So they're running now NXT shows. And NXT, like I said, is where you get signed to a WWE contract as a wrestler. You go to the WWE's Performance Center, then you wrestle in NXT, and then they bring you up to the main roster. That's kind of the schedule that it has been. That's what they've set up now. That's the system. So NXT was like, you know, and still the TV gets filmed in front of what, 600 people?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a small thing, and it's more just to kind of get your bearings about you before you move on. But they've been putting on such good shows that now not only are they traveling, but they booked the Barclays Center to do a show SummerSlam weekend, which I guess is like a week from Saturday. And just today they announced they sold out the entire Barclays Center.
The whole thing.
Which was not the plan at all.
Never the plan. We were actually discussing, I was talking to my publicist before the show about how we weren't sure we're going to hold it at a theater around Brooklyn or somewhere in New York or just a smaller venue. And they decided eventually, we'll give it a shot. And
But I had heard that there was like they were going to cut off like 3/4.
Well,
of the
that was the
Barclays
plan.
Center.
Because Barclays, I guess, is convertible to 3 different sizes or whatever, and they just want to do the small venue. And then the pre-sale went nuts, and they said, okay, we'll try the second size, and that sold out like instantly. And then here we are, over a week away now, and the thing completely sold out this morning.
And what's the biggest show that they've done so far? Like.
For NXT, it's the biggest one we've done.
By far.
We did San Jose before WrestleMania, and I think we had about 5,000.
And that was like
that was huge
unheard of.
I was talking before with Joe about how we used to have FCW before there was NXT. When I got signed to developmental, we had FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling in Tampa, and this is when we had guys like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt. We're all coming. We couldn't sell 100 tickets in Tampa.
And that's
to
all
save
you
our
just
lives.
named, like every main event guy.
Right. Roman Reigns,
now.
everybody was down there on every show. And we couldn't sell 100 seats in Tampa to save our lives. And here we are selling out the Barclays Center the night before SummerSlam.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, man.
Or how do you think that is?
It's just, I don't know. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. I'm pretty sure nobody in the company expected this.
Yeah.
But we just decided to ride the wave.
I'm kind of worried as a guy. Like, I felt like the little NXT shows were my, like, indie band.
Right.
That people hadn't really heard of yet. And it was like, yeah, this is going on under their umbrella, but I don't think anybody's watching because there's all this great stuff going on here. I'm kind of afraid that now that they've sold out 13,000 seats, that
it's a thing.
It's a thing, and people are going to be paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's like now there is the potential of a lot more hands being on it.
And I know everyone involved with NXT from Triple H on down, all the talent, everybody, even the commentators.
Right.
We kind of have this little chip on our shoulder. Like,
right.
look what we did. Look what we've done. And, we're going out there the night before SummerSlam. This Barclays Center event's a takeover. It's going to be live on WWE Network. So, I mean, those are
people
always...
had the option of watching it on TV.
Right.
And they still sold it out.
Right.
That's even bigger.
It's insane, but so we have this little this chip on our shoulder. We're going to try to steal the show. I mean, SummerSlam's going to be awesome the next night too, but that's kind of our little corner of the universe.
Do you know what you're doing yet with the show?
This is going to be a crazy weekend. Like I said, I know Saturday morning we have an NXT panel at the Barclays Center. It's going to be Triple H, I think Seth Rollins, I think Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, myself. There's a handful of us on it just to kind of discuss the evolution of NXT. Like what I'm saying, just from being one of the, I think that's the only reason I'm there is I've been there longer than pretty much everybody.
Right.
And I've actually watched the entire evolution from, I remember the first time we had an NXT taping at Full Sail. It was like a pilot episode, and now we're doing this. And then Saturday night is the takeover event, which will be live only on WWE Network.
Same place you can find Cory Graves.
That's two times.
Cory Graves show.
Keep track for me. I'm hitting this. Then and then I'll be doing the commentary, doing the pre-show. There's a kickoff show for the takeover special.
Okay, and you're doing that.
I will be on that. I will be calling the live special.
So you're going from why are you doing the pre-show and the show?
I'm basically living at Barclays for about 72 hours.
Why wouldn't they? I don't understand how you could do the pre-show and the show.
The magic of television.
You would either do the show or the pre-show.
No, I'm doing everything.
You're doing it all.
Yeah, I'm Guy Fieri, man.
I guess so.
Yeah, so I'm doing the pre-show. I'm doing
they're paying you by the gig.
I should look into that.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing the main show, doing the commentary, and then the next night, Sunday,
that's SummerSlam
is
night.
the SummerSlam kickoff show.
Yeah.
And then I'm just doing the kickoff show, and then it's a 4-hour extravaganza
on top of the pre-show.
Yes.
So with the pre-show,
5
it'd be like
hours
5
of
hours.
live content.
I was just thinking it needed to be
good.
longer. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a nutty.
And then
nutty
after
couple
that,
of
it's
days.
like, oh, got that out of my system. It's like, no, it's Monday.
Yeah, no,
you got a job to do.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do the pre-show from Barclays because Raw is at Barclays again on Monday.
Right.
And
I mean, you already got all the stuff there. You're there already. Why would you go to Connecticut?
I mean, it's only like what, a 45-minute drive.
Yeah, I guess.
I go back to my little safety zone, that little studio.
Little studio.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, so it's gonna be nuts.
So you got a lot. Do you think about when you got gigs like that coming up? Do you think about everything that's coming up and start to cycle through, or is it just one day at a time?
It's one day at a time, and I never know what day it is, just because I have the furthest thing from a normal schedule. As long as I'm in Connecticut on Monday, that's really the only thing I have to worry about.
Even having that to be in the same place every week regularly. Even that's like a luxury. Like nobody has that in the wrestling business.
No, it's great. I get the luxury of staying in a hotel overnight and being able to leave my bags there.
Right.
That's the one thing. The guys on the road, man, they check in for 6-7 hours and they pack their bags back up and get back on the road.
Oh yeah, because
I can go and unpack and iron my clothes and wear them tomorrow because I'm in the same place.
I never even thought about that. So like even when you have a hotel, you don't have a hotel.
You don't really know. No.
Like you're just crashing there until you have to drive or make a flight.
Exactly. I should stop telling you this because everyone in the company that didn't know this is going to be really mad at me now. They're going to be guys going to be like, hey, can I switch gigs with him? Like,
yeah.
Wait, who's this guy?
Yeah. Just start knocking themselves on the head on purpose.
Yeah. Hey.
So you get to wake up whenever you want on Monday, except if you're doing like a gig like this.
Yeah. I mean, I got to drive in this morning, which was cool.
Yeah.
I took a different route that I'd never taken because my app sent me around the world, but it was nice. There were trees
exciting.
And new horizons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're loving life?
Yeah, man. Things are good.
That's
Things are good.
That's good.
Busy is good.
Yeah.
I go crazy when I'm not busy.
You do. Well, like, what are your hobbies outside of wrestling?
I have none.
You don't?
No. I like to hang out with my kids.
Yeah. Well, in my off time, I'm a father.
Right. When I have a few minutes to spare, I hang out with my family. Yeah, I'm honestly like my free time is few and far between. So when I'm home, I literally like to just
get tattoos and hang out with your kids.
Pretty much. I just bought my son a basketball hoop. So that's kind of a thing that I'm into right now.
There it is.
I'm really bad at basketball.
You
but
are.
He's pretty awesome. So I get schooled by a 7-year-old.
Well, I was going to say, your 7-year-old can't be that tall.
No, but he's breaks my ankles. They got a mean crossover.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty dangerous.
Oh, my gosh. Do your kids like wrestling?
No.
They don't?
Not really.
Is that good for you?
It's cool for me.
Because you get to go home and not have work follow you home.
Right.
But your kids don't give you the respect that they would give you if they like wrestling. Be like, oh, no, daddy's on the TV.
Yeah, no.
They don't even know.
No, my kids are fascinated with Roman Reigns.
Oh, they like him.
We're friends and like we'll hang out families together. And my kids are like, when can we go to Roman Reigns' house? I'm like, well, why? Well, he's on TV. We actually had my family here in New York last week and we're walking through the subway and there's a poster for SummerSlam and there's a big poster of Roman Reigns. And my daughter freaks out. Dad, look. I'm like, yeah, he's on the wall. He's been on our couch. And we go to his. It's like, what are you so excited about? But I don't know. Nothing's ever cool when you're dad. When your dad, if your dad was a radio host, you'd be like, yeah, radio hosts are stupid.
I guess, but you want to say, kids, listen to me. Nobody's going to get excited about this Roman Reigns guy unless they get properly prepped to be excited. And to be prepped, you got to watch a pre-show. And you know who hosts that pre-show?
This guy. Your
pops.
And my kids still could care less.
They don't
But
care.
Hey, that's life.
Do they get the atypical nature of your job? Like, do they get that their dad is not like other dads?
No, I don't think so.
They don't?
No, I mean, I'd go to work, and that's kind of how I got to justify it. My daughter usually has a really hard time. She's 5, so she kind of gets real sad when I leave. But she's, she gets over it, and she understands that I go to work so that I can come home and do cool stuff with them. So
yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Do they get that most dads aren't all, like, tatted up? And
No, you know what? I actually learned this from when I used to work in the tattoo shop. My old boss, his kids, I thought it was really strange, but they've never known anything but tattooed people because dad was tattooed. All of dad's friends were tattooed. So it wasn't until his daughter was like, I think maybe 10, that she kind of went, wait a minute. Not everybody looks like that, but up to that point in their life, they're like, oh, that's just dad. That's just how dad's skin looks. My kids to this day.
That's just how dad.
Yeah.
He just was born that way, and everybody was born differently.
My kids don't acknowledge any of my tattoos other than the ones that I've gotten since they've been like aware.
Oh, so when one changes.
Yeah, if I get a new one, like if I fill in an empty space or I just got the other side of my neck done, they acknowledge it. And they're like, Dad, let me see your tattoo. Singular. Like that's the one tattoo that they acknowledge. But all this other stuff is just in here. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But you're still actively getting tattooed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I feel incomplete.
Still?
Yeah. Well, I got to finish my neck, and then I'm going to...
So you're going to get the entire neck done?
Yeah, just because I feel weird. I felt very...
you could see flesh on my neck.
Well, I just felt uneven. I had the one side, and then the throat, and then the other side was empty, and I felt like I looked incomplete, and probably some sort of psychological issue.
Probably, I would think so. But now there's stuff on both sides, so what's next?
I don't know. We'll see.
Now you're complete. Maybe you're finished.
I mean, technically, I could be.
Right.
But we'll have to figure something out.
Wow, my God. So what about, we talked on the wrestling podcast about Dusty Rhodes and what a big influence he was on you because, a lot of people might know or not know this, but Dusty Rhodes was he taught everybody at the NXT Performance Center, at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. All the new guys coming up learn promos and wrestling psychology. and all that stuff, which is arguably the most, if not one of the more important aspects of this thing, through Dusty Rhodes. Did you have any connection with Roddy Piper?
I was bummed out when I got the news about that. I didn't really know him well. I'd met him a handful of times. I can honestly say he had a personality that within 30 seconds of talking to him, you felt like you've known him your whole life, and he was just incredibly friendly and just polite, and he was awesome to be around, and the stories he had were great. But I wasn't really particularly close with him. But
was he one of the... Who'd you look up to when you were growing up?
I mean, I came up when it was Hogan, Warrior. Warrior was kind of my all-time favorite when I was a little kid. Yeah.
He was your guy. So what about Hogan? Like, when Hogan goes and gets himself in trouble, are you just like...
Yeah, you got to move on. It's just business, and you just wash your hands of it and just go about the next day. And that was, just keep moving.
It was dumb. That's what me and my friends were always saying. Like, just like Hogan, like you're back. It was just dumb.
Yeah, hey, you don't get successful because you're smart all the time.
No, I guess not. Well, although sometimes you do. For instance, Cory Graves, very, very smart person.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, he might as well.
It could be argued. It could be disputed.
Well, listen, everybody, if you want to see Cory Graves, if you want to watch him in action, it's not tough to find. Just get the WWE Network, and he's on every other show.
I'm on all the time, 24 hours a day.
And I'll tell you this. The first time I met Cory Graves, he came up to me, is at the Performance Center. It wasn't even that long ago. It was probably less than a year ago.
Yeah, probably.
That's how much things have changed for you. You came up to me and said, "Hey, Sam, I just want to introduce myself to you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know who you are, dude." And you were like, "Yeah, no, I watch you on doing stuff on the network.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You're a professional broadcaster."
Right. And then, like, within 6 months, you're on every show that the network has to offer.
Well, I had goals, man. Got to go after him,
You did it. You should be very proud of yourself, is what I'm saying.
Well, I appreciate that.
You should be. And your children should be proud of you. Next time you come up here, bring your kids with you, and I will tell them how they should be looking at their father.
Right on. I appreciate that.
Yes.
When I went to go visit H&M over at Marvel when my kids were in town, and my wife attempted to push a baby stroller through a revolving door, which led to one of the most entertaining and hilarious moments I've seen recently.
No, honey. That's why they have both. That's why.
Yeah, right.
That's why they have both.
Live and learn.
Yeah.
So hey, real quick, there's something I gotta promote while I'm here. I know this is all about promotion.
Well, I saw you looking at your phone, and I was like, he better have something to promote, otherwise he's being rude and looking at texts.
I would never read. I have texts that I have not read, but I'm checking. I have to have this reminder. We are doing this awesome thing. WWE is in conjunction with SummerSlam called Answer the Call. It's for the families of fallen New York officers and firefighters. There's all sorts of like celebrities involved, Mark Messier and Stone Cold, John Cena, all these different celebrities. It's a charity benefit fund, and we're doing it with SummerSlam at Barclays because it's right here in New York. And you can go to CharityBuzz.com/WWE to get all the details about it.
And is it like an auction?
There's all sorts of like experiences. It doesn't specify. I imagine you get to do something cool with. I read the email and I was like, I hope I get to play hockey with Mark Messier.
Yeah.
And I get to slash him about the wrist like Adam Graves did to Mario Lemieux and get some sort of retribution from my hockey youth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was in New York at the time.
I'm a Pittsburgh kid, man,
right.
And that was soul crushing to me.
Messier was God around here.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. I love him, but I figure it's never too late for a little revenge.
That's right.
But and like I said, I don't know exactly what the experiences are. I'm sure the website will have all the details. But it's just usually when we do stuff like that, you get to hang out, get to have lunch, get to
WWE is always good at especially when they're doing like charity stuff. Usually when they put together those packages, they're pretty incredible.
They're pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Anything we do like that I've gotten to be a part of has been really awesome. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, definitely everybody check out the website, CharityBuzz.com. Is that right?
/WWE.
CharityBuzz.com/WWE. You could get something cool, which would be my motivation for it, but
it's for a good cause.
It's for a good cause. You get to help firefighters and cops.
You win twice.
Right. And, of course, you can watch Culture Shock, and you can watch the Raw pre-show, and you can watch the pay-per-view pre-show, and you can watch NXT shows. If you have the WWE Network and you turn it on at some point, you'll see a man in a very nice suit and tattoos. That's Cory Graves.
Well, I appreciate that. However, when hearing you say all these things that I do, I'm now worried that if for some reason the WWE Network were to not be a rousing success, I might be held solely responsible. I could be at this point.
I would think so.
I think I'm on more than pretty much anybody in the company.
Yeah, I think so. And I would blame you, but I'm reading all these Wall Street articles, and apparently the WWE Network is indeed a rousing success.
I want more money now.
Right, and because with that same logic, that is your responsibility. You brought the network to the heights that it is now.
Right on.
Right on. Thanks for hanging out, Cory Graves.
Thank you for having me, man.
And make sure you check out everything he's doing.
A lot more attention from within the company. I mean, I remember there was, even when we went to San Jose for WrestleMania, that was kind of the first time anyone in the company on like the business end of things actually paid any attention to us.